Scott, I am, though, jealous of that fan that got Aaron Boone ejected, because that is a great bar story to have for the rest of your life.
I saw someone on Twitter say that they need to do a reenactment or come back with Seinfeld and have that, George Costanza being that guy who's right behind the dugout. It's perfect. It would be a great Seinfeld episode. Yeah. I mean, that guy, that I feel like not only just the bar story for you, but like I envision you as that guy. I envision your dad as that guy, and just having complete satisfaction.
Oh my God.
After the moment too. Just, I mean, not even feeling bad or any remorse for saying, just complete satisfaction. Like, I can't believe I just did that. It worked. It worked.
Yo, no, that would have given me a high for a solid 72 hours that I would not have come down from. And listen, is it absolutely preposterous that the umpire ejected Aaron Boone because he thought Boone was yelling at him and it was actually a fan in the front row? Of course. But one take that I haven't seen many people say, it's probably been on Twitter, but guess what? I'm not on Twitter anymore. I have not seen written by anyone, is that the reason Aaron Boone was tossed in that situation is because umpires hate him. And Boone is so quick to yell at umpires about everything. I talked about this last episode where I said Boone felt the need to complain about Luis Gil's clear balk, where the umpire's probably like, dude, that was a clear balk. Like, what are you wasting my time for? What are you wasting everyone's time for just to prove you're going to support your guys? Like, if it's a gray area, fine, come out and yell. But when something obviously happens, it's like Boone is sitting there yelling, the sky is not blue, umpire. No, Boone, the sky is blue, actually. Shut up and go sit down. So I think Boone has a reputation around the league with umpires that he's very vocal. And so the littlest things are going to tick off umpires. So what happened was Boone did bark a little bit about the hit by pitch. And the umpire's like, it hit him. I checked down to first base. Shut up. And then he was looking out at the pitcher. He heard another thing yelled. It happened to be the fan. But guess what? Instincts kick in at that moment. And so the umpire just assumed it was Boone, because Boone always yells at umpires, and tossed his ass. So you know what, Aaron? You deserved it.
So it is funny, the fact that he didn't look over and it was just instinctual. The guy, clearly has enough of a voice similarity to Boone where it just didn't matter. And he was just, at that point, Hunter Wendelstedt is just listening and waiting for anything that comes from that direction. Anything. Yep. Because Boone, in that moment, the ball clearly hit him. And to the umpire's credit, in this particular instance, he's correct in what he said. My job is to call the hit by pitch. I asked for help on the swing. That wasn't his call. He got the help that he asked for. No swing. Was it a swing? You could have gone either way. Like it was close enough to, you could say yes, it was close enough, or you say no, it wasn't all that clear in my opinion. But I think you're right. I think that the history of Aaron Boone and the fact that he gets on people's nerves, and people, I mean umpires, some fans don't think they're actual people, but they are. They have emotions. They get annoyed. People know how to get under their skin. This is a guy who's been around forever. He's what, a third generation umpire?
Well, Hunter Wendelstedt is a name that's been around ever since I can remember.
Yeah. And yeah, the history, the track record of the umpire and the manager come into play. And it doesn't mean that guy has to be behind the plate all the time for all the tirades and antics that Boone makes. He just is on the staff and has seen what goes on. So yes, there was a quick hook because he talks a lot and he gives a shit and he chirps a lot. And in this instance, Wendelstedt didn't want to hear it at all. And it was coming. You can't be more well positioned as a fan,
right behind him.
And it wasn't even a bad thing he said, right? It was something like super baseball generic, like come on blue, like something like, it was something very generic, and you could just tell, like it was anything that came out of his mouth, any peep that came from that dugout, no matter what happened, and Boone was getting ejected. So yeah, it's tough to watch him cry. It is egregious in the sense that like any umpire should not be ejecting a manager without understanding that the cause is actually coming from said dugout. or said person. And I understand that he is the manager and he manages the people in there. So if someone else said it, Boone getting the hook, like I have no problem with that. But it didn't come from the dugout. It came from a fan.
Well, so this is where Hunter Wendelstedt lost me, because after the game he was asked about it and he said he heard something from down the other end of the dugout and that's what he was reacting to, which is bullshit. Like, you heard the fan, you thought it was Boone, and you tossed him. And I almost wish he just said that, because it would shed light on what we've just been talking about, which is this is a reputation that Boone has built up with umpires. Umpires as a I was going to call them a community. I don't know that that's the right word for them. Umpires as a entity, whatever,
As a brotherhood,
whatever they are, as a unit, as a why can't I think of the right word? Is there an umpires union? Whatever. I'm getting off track. Umpires are sensey right now. They're big sensey because robo umpires are coming and they know it. Okay, and as far as Aaron Boone goes, like, you go back to the Savages in the Box rant. What was that, 2019 season? He embarrassed that umpire. Okay, that umpire was a rookie umpire. That guy, I don't remember his name, but he got dragged through the mud all over the internet for days and days. You don't think that trickles around the umpire community of like, oh, we got to support our guy. We can't let a manager embarrass us like that over things for a lot of the time. I understand Boone always complains about Aaron Judge getting low strike calls and all these other things. But when Boone,
warranted,
when you're arguing,
that is an argument that is warranted.
When you're chirping about a balk or about a hit by pitch or about the littlest of things, umpires are getting tired of it. Wait for your moment to complain about things that deserve to be complained about. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting quick hooks.
We're also talking about a Monday day game against the Oakland Athletics. So in that regard, we know you mentioned the Savages in the Box. That was also a
day game.
Day game against, I forget who the team was,
Tampa.
But they was against Tampa. But was it a makeup? It was a weird game.
It was a doubleheader, and it was a single admission doubleheader. So there was it was early in that first game that, just like on Monday, there was probably 20% of the stadium full at that point.
Right. And when you have that, you have hot mics all over the place too. So if you don't think that the umpires also are walking into that game knowing that, hey, it's going to be a little bit more quiet, I'm sure it's talked about with them. It's going to be quiet. Things you say are going to be picked up. So yeah, I think in that regard, also quick hook, like there was maybe some, he was telegraphing it. Like he was anticipating something like you said, from Boone.
He was waiting for something to be said. You know how when you're like,
I can't wait for this guy to say one more thing. I can't wait for this guy to say one more thing.
I was going to say, you're in an argument with your wife and you're just waiting for her to say something that you're like hoping she says just so you can attack back with something. I gotcha. Yeah. That's what Hunter Wendelstedt was doing. The only thing that would have been better is if it was like a hot dog vendor yelling, hot dogs, get your hot dogs here. And that's what got Boone tossed. That would have been the only thing that would have been better. But yeah, obviously it's ridiculous that he got thrown out of the game for what a fan said. But I wish more people, whether it's the broadcasters or whether it's, the media that are writing things on these, MLB.com or whatever, brought up the fact that, like, okay, it's ridiculous what happened, but let's think about why this happened.
Yes. And that's exactly it. The track record is there, but he also had a terrible strike zone. So
yeah, sure.
there were some,
but we didn't know that at that point. That was 5 pitches in the game. That was 5 pitches into the game. So we didn't know that at that point.
Yeah. On that given day. But yeah, there were some egregious strike three calls by Mr. Wendelstedt III.